Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, and that includes you. From the very first human being that was created upon this earth until the last one that is being born right now, there has been one thing that each have possessed. That is a desire of having your needs, wants, and your desires met. Every human being on the face of the earth would love, my friends, to live in peace and be prosperous and free, joyous and happy. In reality, they'd like to live their dreams. It's not a human being on the face of the earth that doesn't embrace those. And the reason is because they were made by a power, the people were made by a power that made sure that each of these energies would be possessed and be required as part of a human being. That being the situation, the housing that these human beings would share would be as we have the earth. And on that earth would be resources stashed, stored in various places all over the earth. And they would be the kind of resources that would be essential for meeting the needs, the wants, and the desires of human beings on earth. And it would be provided in such an abundance that there would be enough resources to do and serve mankind from the day they start to the day they exist no longer. And in order to receive the benefits of what I just discussed earlier, there are certain basic principles that you'd have to follow, and they are very simple. The simple things that human beings would have to do is to recognize that they did not make themselves, that they are the result of an imagination of some other power, and that each of us are of that power, and by being of that power, there is nothing more important than you. There is nothing more important than us. There is nothing more important than what that power has made. And that power, knowing what life means, has made it possible that each individual that is on this earth may participate in life on this earth. That means basically they are engaged in life. They're engaged in the process of life. That basically means that everybody that comes on this earth would get a chance to participate in the production of the goods and services that have been determined by the people as essential for any period in time. They would qualify for a career or a job, whatever you want to call it. But the blessing thing that lets us know that it is from that power and not from us is that we will be receiving that which we have all wanted to receive. And the world didn't give it to it, and the world can't take us away. And so what I'm basically saying, that what we will be doing, what we have been given to do, gives us our greatest joy. It makes life worth living just by doing that. That's our participation in life so far, or at least to that degree. While at the same time, that same invisible power has everything that each of us are doing so interconnected, we don't even have to worry about it. So interconnected. And what is it doing? It is creating those things that we have determined, like housing and food and clothing and shelter and education and transportation and infrastructure and anything that men desire. There was a time when men didn't have lights, and that mighty power tapped someone and gave them the information necessary to bring that talent, to bring that information, to bring that knowledge to mankind, so that everybody who desired, needed, or wanted light in the dark could have it. And just as they did it with the lights, they did it with the automobiles, they did it with the boats, they did it with the planes, they did it with the watches, they did it with the telegraph, they did it with the telephone, they did it with this thing that I'm recording on right now. And it's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely amazing advancement. But you know what? Each of these advancements, they are expressions of the imagination that was filled with the love of that power that we cannot see, that was giving something for us. that would enhance this on earth as in heaven. And each time it was released to us, it was released in systems where people could not have access to it unless they met some other guides that had been established not by that power but by man. And mostly everything that is been made available and given to us freely has been stamped with a label on it with a fee, a price. And so anything that God gave us, basically, if it wasn't attached to us and we had nothing to do with it, it was going to cost us, because man was going to find us, man was going to build us, man was going to charge us. And each system of government around the world is established on that, because it's a foundational government established so that man can claim to be that power that we cannot see. And as stupid and ignorant as we have been taught to be, we cannot understand. For instance, it doesn't take much for any of us to see an interview taking place by a news media on a MAGA representative. It doesn't take long for them to open their mouths before you'll understand why they listen to Donald Trump. They did not have access to the educational process. There were so many other things that they were denied, but that was just for that MAGA group. There are other people who got their own hang-ups that denies them that liberty of understanding what is required to live. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when we walk to the dictates of men instead of God, we find ourselves being deceived. We find ourselves being lied to. We find ourselves living in poverty and experiencing crime, sometimes I hate to say it, and violence, but it's true. We express that idea that we hate so much is hatred. Let's use that word. It's true. Racists and bigots, terrorizing and war, guns, force, all of these things are tools that are used by the power that is not power, but the deceptive power, that which causes itself alternative truths. I just wanted to take this moment, ladies and gentlemen, and say these things to you. These things that I'm saying today are not new. I've said them 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways, each day trying to do the same thing that I was trying to accomplish yesterday, and that is to wake us up, because only when we are awake can we live. Sometimes people try to stay asleep, because while asleep they can have something going on in their heads that seems like it's all right. It's like being on alcohol or being on drugs or some other force. One day when you wake up, you find out that you're nowhere. Where you went from is where you still are. And in order for you to go some real place, you're going to have to make those steps that leads you someplace, and not that game of being deceived. I want to take this right moment, ladies and gentlemen, and say I want to thank each of you so very much for giving me this your time. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, and my mission has been for the past 40 years that you can see the invisible power, that you can receive that invisible power that would allow you to live and stop being oppressed and chained by the ideals of men, women, blacks and whites, Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, Americans and otherwise. They have nothing to offer but an opportunity to find your way to the path that leads to heaven on earth. Goodbye.